Good afternoon. Hello. Today is July 1st, 2020. Hope you're well. Today we're going to talk about dealing with deception. Whether it is coming from an individual, maybe it's just an acquaintance, somebody that we don't really deal with a lot, or maybe it's a close associate or a family member. Maybe it's an institution. Maybe it's a system. But whatever the source, when we come to realize that there has been deception, that we have been given information that the speaker knew to be false, that can leave us feeling a lot of different things. At the least, disappointed. It can really shake us up to realize that someone or an institution it's composed of people. So someone or some group of people decided it would be okay to betray our trust. And the only reason, let's start that sentence again. When we give our trust, that puts us in a vulnerable situation, vulnerable condition. And when it is betrayed, like we said, it can leave us feeling different things. And of course, this is not following, but in the midst of dealing with such a situation myself. This isn't the first take, because it was upsetting. And I didn't even, an hour ago, I was like, there's no way in hell I could even pick up that recording device. I'm just gonna cry into it. It hurts. It hurts. And in my case, it's an individual. When it's just an acquaintance, maybe we didn't have it really. Our heart is not really involved. Our deep feelings are not involved. But when it's someone that we just closed our eyes and jumped when they said something to us, and trusting that this is the truth. And for myself, like I said, it's leaving a feeling, and it's not a very good feeling. It's a very not good feeling. So we're going to just discuss a few things now and branch this out a bit. Now the first thing is so first thing that we're going to talk about briefly is that when you're dealing with individuals that behave in this way, and by the way, we're talking about information that was yours to know. If you're asking somebody a question, or they're giving you information, but it's not really your right to know the truth of it, it's their choice whether to share with you. But when someone is outrightly being deceptive with information that ought to be yours, that's what we're talking about. And if a person has done that, if you've experienced that, first of all, don't take it personally, because that's kind of Believe it or not, of course you would believe it, I'm a human. That was my first reaction, to take it personally, you know. But the reason why we shouldn't take it personally is because if this is that person's MO, which it is, well then what the hell do I expect? What do we expect? You know, it's just like that adage, you know, when it comes to gossip. Anybody that will talk to you about people and gossip about other people, guess what? Guess who's the subject of that gossip when you're not around? You. You see? So if we're associating with people who like to blab other people's business and gossip and put other people down, well then we shouldn't really be surprised to find out, oh, guess what so-and-so said about you. You see? That's their MO. And so we can't take those things personally when that's how somebody gets down in this life, whether it's they gossip and they like to just spew out poison when they talk about other people, or whether it's that a person is just a dishonest person. And if you know that this person who has lied to you and betrayed you, that's the way they get down, and you know it because they brag about it, or you see it, you witness it, well then you know to take it personally is only hurting you. We can't expect people to be what they're not. We don't get apples from orange trees and oranges from apple trees. So, was it Maya Angelou who said, when a person shows you who they are, believe them. Don't think, oh, there's going to be an exception in my case. They always lie. I always see them being underhanded in their dealings with companies and other people and their workplace and their other family members and friends. But in my case, they're always going to be upfront. Why would you freaking believe that? I'm telling myself, dum-dum, how dare you fall for the okie doke? I fell for the okie doke. So that's one aspect of it. You know, now I'm letting that sink in, allowing that to sink in. A person is going to be who they are. And, you know, sometimes, no, let's start that again. We live in a world and an age now where information is everywhere. Information about spirituality, information about self-acceptance, information about growth and ascension and expansion and blah, 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 blah. This information's out there for everybody. Anybody who can read or can watch a video. And so sometimes we fall for the okie doke because people are good at being parrots and repeating things they've heard, probably not read, probably they've heard it or they've seen a video or some kind of program on a subject, and they say, oh yeah, that sounds good. And then they start spouting out, even though it's not their way of living, but it sounds good on paper, it sounds good, and they pass it on as their own, as if they're living the truth of the information. And so then these are the same people, you see. They got a few different faces, and we're not judging people. We're just saying it is what it is. People can talk, people can get up information, and people can be very convincing too. People can look you right in the eye and say, oh, I would never do this. And guess what? Guess what they're doing the very next day? The thing they said they wouldn't do. And we're not saying that they shouldn't have done the thing, but just the ability to be able to turn it off and on, right? That's the age we live in. Any knucklehead can say some stuff they heard somebody else say, okay? Oh, this guy's got a lot of views. He sells a lot of books, and this information sounds right, and blah, 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 whatever. I know we're getting precariously close here, Missy, to being judgmental. That's because I still have a little bit of feeling going on inside. I got some feeling in there still of, I'm a human being, give me a break. But so you got that. Now, the other thing is to realize that as hard as it is to understand, and not understand intellectually, but understand fully, that these situations that break our hearts, seems that hurt us, that make us feel so forlorn, like, why? What the hell? And they really try us, they test us, they feel like trials. These situations are the situations that build us into what we are becoming. These situations where we're dealing with people and we're discovering the truth. We were living in a fantasy to believe that someone who is their way of moving in this place is dishonestly. We've been living in a fantasy with our head in the sand to imagine that they're doing that, except in our case. And now some light has been shown. The veils have been lifted and the curtains drawn back, and we used all those examples. But now, basically, understanding the reality is better for us than continue to live in a fantasy of, this person behaves a certain way, but they won't in my case. Well, that's bullshit. And if we've been living in bullshit, saying, this is my son, he would never steal from me, he would never lie to me, he would never, or this is my mother, she would never, this could never, this is my best friend. I know that they do this with other people, but you see? And it's a wake-up call, because if we're really serious about becoming truly who we are, authentically who we are, really that requires that we acknowledge and accept and receive and understand what is around us as well. And we're saying around us, but really coming to a true full understanding of who we are and what we are includes our perceptions. Our perceptions are an extension. Our chosen perceptions, our choosing to believe something that somewhere deep inside we must understand that it cannot be true, yet it feels better. See, that perception is connected to who and what I am. And as long as I feed those faulty perceptions, those fantasies, that's going to work against any so-called growth or advancement toward self-discovery, you see. So we need to go through those experiences that shine light. And so instead of looking at it as a betrayal, which is what it feels like, we look at it as a truth. It feels like a betrayal. It feels like the worst kind of thing that happened to me, when the reality is what actually happened is the light turned on, or at least I opened my eyes. Maybe I wanted to keep my eyes closed to certain truths. Maybe it's, you're with a partner and everything in you knows something is amiss, but it's too damn painful. It's too damn painful. And so we don't go there. Well, guess what? That's working against our growth when we do those things, you see. And other things too. There's probably a list of things that we hide from and we close our eyes to because it's very painful, or it's just unpleasant. At the least, it's unpleasant. It's unpleasant to realize that someone that you thought was trustworthy is not. But that's the bottom line. It's not about you. Is this person trustworthy? That's not a judgment, that's a fact. If somebody is always behaving in ways where they're not being forthcoming with the truth, well, they're not a trustworthy person. You see? That's it. And so we don't take it personally. But of course, when we're first processing, as I was just minutes ago, we do take it personally because it feels bad and we're a person. And so I'm feeling it on an emotional level. That's part of who I am. What I am is my emotional self. But we have to allow the world to be what it is without pretending that it's something else. Because pretending is only going to be detrimental if we're trying to grow. We're trying to realize our full potential. So anyway, this one's going pretty good while. It's been encouraging for me because a lot of the stuff that we're speaking here is just coming to the forefront in my mind right now. And even though some of these ideas, I'm sure some of these ideas have passed through my mind before, it's different in real time. In real time, it's only real-time stuff going on. And the memory of stuff that you knew before and heard before doesn't come into play automatically when you're dealing with human beings who have emotions and all of this. We're very complicated, complex creatures. So I hope it's been encouraging or upbuilding for someone else out there. It's life in this place. And instead of cursing the experiences and cursing the other person, realizing, and this is not an excuse for bad behavior or for being a person who's a deceiving type person, but the truth is that things as they stand, whether it is a person who just lies a lot, or a person who does this or that other, or whatever, or a tree that's not growing fruit, or whatever. There's reasons behind why it is the way it is, and it's not our job to say that the thing should be something else. It is what all of the experiences have brought it to. And if we're dealing with whatever we're dealing with, just to look at it and say, I may not understand why this is, but I certainly need to accept the truth of what is being presented to me. Even though it isn't a pleasant feeling, it's far better to just accept. And it's good for us. It doesn't feel good in the moment, but it reaps the benefits as we continue to build ourselves up, right? And we don't curse the situations. We do at first because that's how we're feeling, but then we come to understand that things around us are what they're supposed to be, given what brought them to that on some level. And we'll talk about that that's not to say that it's right or wrong. It's just what everything has brought it to. Anyway, so with that, we're going to say, hope that you have a good rest of your day or evening, and wishing you much love. Bye.